Hello and welcome back to the Fight and Talk 2 channel with myself, Mr. Fight and Talk, joined as always by the fantastic co-host of the show, the eloquent analyst, Prath. How are we doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm all good, man. I'm all good. Over in Casual Corner, the return of George. How are we doing, sir? You've had another week off. You know, all this life that you've got to live. Do you know what I mean? But you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I've been back. I've been away, and while I've been away, I've brought us dog salt and pepper shakers. So that's been my week away. So yeah, very good.
He's down in the countryside and he's getting his. He's going to these antique fairs. You know.
Are you 75 years old?
we just don't know. We just don't know.
He's either 20 or 70. We can't tell.
There's no in between. There's no in between.
No, exactly.
That's something my nanny would get.
Hey, they look classy.
I like it.
Okay, whatever you say, brother. Whatever you say, bro.
Hey, to be fair, Conor likes it and he's the chef. So do you know what? Screw the rest of you. If he likes it, then we're all good.
No. He's a chef. He likes what's in them. He likes what's in them.
And the fourth man on the screen is Ryan from, I need to get this right, is overeems horsemeat supplier. His handle on Twitter. So we're just going to call him Ryan for today. It's just easier.
Yeah.
But how did you come up with the handle, man?
Because what I see on Twitter, everyone on MMA Twitter has like a really either stupid or funny kind of handle. So I was like, I want mine to be a step above. And I was like, okay, let me go through some of my favorite fighters and see what I can come up with. And Alistair Overeem is my favorite heavyweight MMA fighter of all time. And then I remembered he had the best excuse for a ped failure ever. Horsemeat.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm the guy who gives him his horsemeat. That's literally just all I came up with. And then people started liking it. People started saying it was funny. So I was like, oh, I guess. But it's literally because he had the funniest excuse I've ever heard.
I mean,
like everyone's like, yeah, everyone's like, oh, tainted supplement, Viagra, and then there's Alistair Overeem. Oh yeah, I just eat horses. just okay. So yeah, that's how I came up with it.
And that's it. I mean, we love Overeem here because he's from West London. Not many people know. Everyone thinks he's Dutch. He's not. He's from West London. So we always represent Alistair Overeem over here. You know. I
love Overeem. He's my
Hopefully he won't be fighting in Bellator soon, but Scott Coker did put the feelers out and said that he might be fighting Fedor. I think he said he might either JDS or Overeem's going to be fighting Fedor, but I don't want to see
Overeem now would kill Fedor. Fedor's well past it. I think Fedor's the heavyweight go.
Yeah.
But Overeem, because I still think Overeem's cut was very premature.
Definitely, he won his whole one last.
Yeah, because he'd won. Yeah, because he'd won the fight before Volkov. And it's just, I'm actually angry at Dana for that.
Well, there's one thing I'm angry at Dana for. It's letting Kevin Holland fight Marvin Vettori next weekend because that is
that's a smooth old transition.
Talking about for this episode, we're going to be talking about UFC next weekend. We were supposed to get Darren Till, the return of Darren Till from an injury. And he's been on a bit of a skid as well. He's been up and down. We love to hate him and we hate to love him. Do you know what I mean? Because he's in the UK as well. We want him to do really well. The world, I think, wants him to do really well. But for some reason, the guy just can't get a break. He fights absolute killers, and then he gets injury after injury for some strange reason. But nevertheless, the show must go on, as they say in the business. So we've got Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland. George, you like Kevin Holland. He was going to be your man for this year, wasn't he? But do you think this is a correct matchup for him? Because we're going to stay on the main event here and we're going to work our way down the card. But what do you think about this fight? Why? Just tell me.
Well, it's the least surprising person to call up ever, isn't it? As soon as Darren Till was out, everyone was like, oh, I suppose Kevin Holland will do it. I think he probably put the message out, didn't he, within about 2 minutes of the announcement. It was like, yeah, I'll fight.
I saw that happen live on the timeline as well.
Yeah. I almost thought he did it before Darren Till announced he got injured, but but no, look, it's not surprising. Look, Kevin Holland loves one thing and one thing only. He loves money, and he'll get back in there if he's going to get himself a nice big paycheck. So 10 days notice, happy days. He didn't really get too damaged up by Derek Brunson too badly, did he? So he'll come back in and give it another crack. I don't expect him. I actually don't fancy him, to be honest. I fancy Marvin Vettori in this one, but yeah, it literally is the least surprising thing in the world. The least surprising thing in the world that Kevin Holland is back there 10 days on 10 days notice, giving it another crack. And he won't change, by the way. He'll still be doing all of the talking in the middle of the octagon. He'll still be doing all of this rubbish that he seems to think is actually quite clever. And yeah, I don't fancy this to be a very good outcome. I think the short notice.
Push back on that, though. I got to push back on that. I do think I don't push back on the result. I do think that Vettori beats him. I'm pushing back on, like, I do think the talking works to a certain extent.
But
yeah, but it gets to a point where it's too much. Like the Derek Brunson thing is just stop now. Like just
concentrate on not losing.
Just stop. Like I get it, like before the fight and all this kind of stuff. You know, I get it, but like when you're actually in there, it's kind of like, all right, let's just crack on with the. But yeah, I fancy. Like I said, he's not going to change. He'll continue to do what he does, and perhaps though, we're saying this before off air. Perhaps though, Marvin Vettori is the type of person who might bite on the trash talk. He's a bit of a kind of
emotional.
He's a bit emotional and hot-headed, isn't he? He's a classic Italian. He's a classic Italian.
hey, no, that's hey.
But no, yeah, fair play to Ken Holland. If you're stepping on 10 days notice against Marvin Vettori, then fair play. But it will be a Marvin Vettori win, and I actually fancy him to knock him out.
Well, Derek Brunson definitely wrote the blueprint for last couple of weeks ago when he wrestled him to the ground, maintained top control, and just his transitions were very good. As soon as Holland tried to move, not that he ever did, he was very negative on the ground. I mean, Brunson kind of wrote the blueprint of how to beat Kevin Holland. But Ryan, what do you think?
Brunson's
the same way?
Brunson's always been a decent wrestler, though, to be fair.
Yeah, very much so. But Marvin Vettori is a very good wrestler as well. Do you see it being a wrestling match, or do you think it's going to be on the feet banger?
I think personally, it'll go one of two ways. Either Vettori will just follow the Brunson blueprint and just take him down straight away, or they'll stand and bang. It won't be in between. It won't be a mix, I don't think.
And why is that? Surely Vettori's going to want to get the win here, right?
He's going to want to get the win, but Vettori isn't the type, because he's never really done it before. He's not the type to lay and pray. He's not going to just take him down and just sit there. If he does take him down, which is of course possible, he's going to want to do a lot of ground and pound and try to get the sub, because he has 9 submissions on the record, isn't it?
Yeah.
And but as we also said, he might just bite on the trash talk, because we know Kevin Holland's probably going to go out there and call him a bitch or whatever. He's going to say all the stuff that he needs to say. He's probably going to, ignore his coaches again, try to talk to Khabib, because apparently that's a thing. So I think it's going to go one of the two ways. Although knowing me, I'm probably going to be completely wrong, and Holland's going to come out in the first round and knock him out somehow. But I think he is an emotional fighter, as Pratt said. He is emotional.
Definitely. He definitely is. Pratt, how do you see it going, man?
It's a tough fight. It's a tough fight for Holland. I'm surprised that Kevin Holland has booked himself in another fight where it's literally the carbon copy of his last opponent. So interesting move for Kevin Holland to take this fight, but respect for stepping up on short notice, as always, to any of these guys. I see Vettori just kind of grinding him against the cage here, and I don't expect there to be a whole lot of action. I think Vettori is coming out here to obviously solidify that he is a top-ranked fighter, and I think, soon after this, he's going to be looking at one of those other top guys in the division. So, I as much as I think Vettori, I think a lot of the fans would want to see Vettori go out there and be aggressive and strike with Kevin Holland, but realistically, it's more important for Vettori to get both of his paychecks and to also show where he is in the rankings, right? A dominant win over someone who's also in the top 10 means a lot to someone like Marvin Vettori. For other guys, their purpose is to go out there and have the most entertaining fight. And I don't really get that impression from Marvin Vettori. It looks like his goals are set on the title. So for him to accomplish that, he's going to need to show that he is a dominant fighter. And I feel like Marvin, and I got to agree with Ryan. He's not one of those guys that likes to lay and pray. He does like to go for the action when he's on the ground as well. So I'm expecting him to do damage. I'm expecting him to do more damage than Derek Brunson. I felt like Derek Brunson definitely just kind of hung on to him and tried to just kind of position over submission, position over striking as well. Whereas I feel like Marvin Vettori, once he gets to, when he gets the side controls, when he gets the half guards, he's going to be doing damage from there. So I feel like it's going to be a pretty dominant Vettori win here. And I would say that it's going to be mostly on the ground and it's going to be mostly against the cage.
Yeah, obviously with Kevin Holland even being able to take this fight, it just goes to prove that Brunson didn't cause any damage to him in any respect, because he wouldn't be able to take this fight, because he would have had, we see fighters that get a little bit of a knock and that's it, they're out for 30 days or on a medical suspension. But obviously Holland has been cleared to go straight back in and get hit in the face and all that kind of stuff straight away. So it is a strange one. But some of these fighters, Kevin Holland wants to go out there and he wants to get style points similar to what we saw last week with Sugar Sean O'Malley. He wants to go out there. He wants to get the style points. He wants to capture the crowd, capture the audience, the viewers, the fans, and that kind of stuff. And then you've got people a few weeks ago when we were watching Cyril Gane versus Jorgen De Castro. No, not Jorgen De Castro, sorry. Rosenstruik. We wanted it to be a massive banger, didn't we? But all we got was a fighter that wants to have wins on his record in Cyril Gane and make his way towards the title where he's making the big money. He didn't go out there and he didn't try to capture these kind of like big power knockouts and stuff. He just went there to get the win.
Which is the smart move against Rosenstruck, to be fair.
Exactly.
Unless your name is Francis Ngannou, then you can just windmill your way to a win.
That's it. So it's one of them things, Kevin Holland's going to go out there and he's going to want to try and get these style points. And, a guy that, people that he can beat up, he's going to beat up and he's going to do it in wild fashion. But people that, as soon as he got to this kind of top echelon of the division, it was going to become more and more difficult for him because he's not cutting on any weight to get to this, to get to middleweight either, 185, sorry. And he's, he can just sit there. That's why he can do it in 10 days notice, because he doesn't have to cut any weight. I'm sure Vettori is going to be cutting from 210 at least to get down there.
Oh, 100%.
And he's 100%. Huge. Exactly the same.
Have you seen the recent picture of him? He looks shredded.
Yeah.
He's absolutely jacked.
He's a big guy, very, very thick as well. His shoulders are up here.
He has traps, like, not as bad as like Kimbo Slice, which it looked like a turtle shell, but like they're big.
Yeah. Exactly, and he started in London Shoot Fighters in West London, which is a fantastic thing to start in. Yeah, started in London Shoot, which is, they've got fantastic wrestling coaches down there, fantastic BJJ coaches, amazing striking coaches, and he was there for years with John Hathaway, with MVP, people like that, and that's where he started. And he had obviously had a fantastic foundation at that gym to then move on. So, but I think the same. I think Vettori's going to get a win here, unless we see Kevin Holland do something absolutely spectacular. I think it's going to.
What happens? What happens if he does? Let's just say, on the off chance we see Kevin Holland get a knockout. What do you think happens after that? What do you think's next for both of them if that happens?
He's going to have to fight someone in the top 5, isn't he? In the top 5. But George, what do you think?
Oh Christ! I was going to say if Vettori won this, he might end up fighting himself in the title eliminator potentially. I suppose if Kevin Holland knocks him out, he gets himself a big fight: a Paulo Costa, a Jared Cannonier. I mean, would they put him in with Rob Whittaker? I don't know. Rob Whittaker probably. I suppose Rob Whittaker. I think if Rob beats Gastelum, then Rob will just say, "Look, what have I got to do now to get another match, a rematch with Adesanya? What have I got to do now?" But yeah, I guess a Paulo Costa, Jared Cannonier, that type of guy is probably what's next for both of those kind of guys, to be honest.
Yeah.
But then who's Till going to fight when he's back?
Oh, this is the problem, isn't it?
I'd give Till Cannonier.
That's the one that I was thinking of as well.
Yeah. Because you have a person in Cannonier who just has cannons for hands. But Till is just so awkward on the feet. And he gave Rob a very good fight. That was a very good fight. Yeah. And we saw what Rob did to Cannonier. So it'd be very interesting to see what those two could produce.
Absolutely. And the division is so tightly packed at the top as well, as with all divisions, as we always say. And this division, especially
not all divisions.
Israel Adesanya has obviously tried to move up to 205. He's going to have to come back down now. But when's he going to fight? Is he going to be able to cut the weight off?
Thing as well, this does mess it up a little bit, because obviously Adesanya was pretty set on Darren Till being the next guy. Yeah. You know, he clearly wanted him next. But the injury has kind of thrown the progression path off a little bit. He's going to have to potentially look at somebody else now, whether that's a Rob Whittaker second fight, whether that's a Marvin Vettori rematch as well. If Vettori keeps on winning, you know, he's going to have to potentially look elsewhere than Darren Till, because Till is not going to be back for another few months. And, you know,
at least a few months.
It's going to be maybe more. So his kind of shot has kind of, the time being, has kind of passed by again.
Definitely. Definitely. On this card, Prath, what other fights are you looking forward to? There's some other bangers on there. We've got a couple of guys from the UK as well. Obviously, it's suited to our time, which is absolutely glorious. I know you gentlemen are coming over to watch the fights with me next weekend, which is going to be fantastic as well.
Well, I'm not. Where was my invite?
You're not allowed to fly, mate. I'm sorry. You're not allowed to fly. But nevertheless, who are you looking forward to, Prath?
Oh, got a couple of really, really great fights on this card. Jim Miller is on this card. Jorgen De Castro is on this card. John McDessie versus Ignacio Bahamondes, who had a great first fight in the UFC as well. So I'm looking forward to that one. But the one that I would love to kind of zero in on here is Mike Perry versus Daniel Rodriguez. And we aptly kind of called it before we jumped on here. It's a pub fight. It's a pub fight between two brawlers. And I love that description because it's so true, especially with Mike Perry, right? When Mike Perry comes out, he comes out swinging for the fences. And I think that this is going to be a very, very tight fight for both guys. I think Daniel Rodriguez is very underrated in the division. Only had maybe like one or two. Yeah, he's only had 2 losses in his career, coming off of just a decision loss as well. So he hasn't been stopped, but he's been doing a whole lot of stopping himself. KO against Dwight Grant, submission against Tim Means. These are 2 very, very, the guys that are in the top, like I would say that are in the, I wouldn't say they're in the top 10, top 15, but, maybe in the top 20 of the division. So those are big wins for someone like Daniel Rodriguez to have, and that gives him a lot of confidence against someone like Mike Perry, because I feel like Mike Perry, Tim Means, quite similar in that style of just kind of violence personified, elbows, tight clinches, and a lot of takedown defense is kind of their main game. So I see Mike Perry kind of bringing the fight to Daniel Rodriguez, but I think Daniel Rodriguez has a great chin. And I think he's going to be able to weather the storm here a little bit. And if he doesn't win a decision, I think it's going to be, like either a late stoppage or a decision for Daniel Rodriguez. At this point, I think Mike Perry, I don't know what it is about Mike Perry, and it's such a shame because when he came into the UFC, he was obviously he's very much a character. I remember his first face off against the Korean gentleman, where it was very, very intense, and he was very hyped at that point. And then he had a couple of really good knockout wins, and I remember them all being like in the 3rd round or something weird like that. And then from there, he just kept taking losses, wins, kind of bouncing back and forth. I don't know if he's going to have his, I want to say girlfriend, not wife yet, or fiance in his corner again, which would be strange. I don't know if he's raffling off a second corner spot as well. That's always something interesting to find out when we rock up to Fight Week with Mike Perry as always. But I want to see how these things in life that have changed him. He's had a child now. I don't think he had a child before his last fight. I think he just had his partner in his corner. Yeah, so I want to see how this has kind of maybe readjusted his focus, and see if this turns him into a different fighter. What is he fighting for? What is his purpose now? Before I felt like he was coming in to get the big bonus checks, and now he might be fighting for a different purpose. So it'd be interesting to see. And I think having these big life events really changes you as a person. So I'm going to hold reservation a little bit on Mike Perry because of the the wins and losses against Daniel Rodriguez, who's mostly won here. So I want to see him do well, but I feel like Daniel Rodriguez will pull this one out.
My question would be, do you think he's going to actually arrive on weight this time? Because obviously last time out, he missed weight by like 4 pounds and said, well, I can't cut this weight. I'm eating cheeseburgers. They're going to take 20% off of me. I'm going to go out there and get fight of the night and make 50 G's anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Do you think he's going to take it a little bit more seriously now to want to actually make weight?
Well, when you put it that way, then it kind of makes sense, and I don't understand why more fighters aren't exploiting that. The way that you just said that just made it sound so easy, but it's true. But it's true, right? They could come in, they're not as drained as the other guy. They can come in, they could potentially get a 50K bonus for a knockout. Actually, like but hang on, if they miss weight, they're not eligible for a bonus, right? If I'm right.
Sure.
I'm thinking that.
I'm not too sure.
Probably.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the UFC like do them like that. If they, like imagine if one of the guys in a fight of the night doesn't make weight, that guy doesn't get the 50K, but the other fella does.
Yeah.
I think I've seen that happen before. So that might be something that makes him want to cut that extra weight.
Might be,
but again, it really depends on the focus. I feel like the way that you tell, for me anyway, when the way I can really tell what a fighter's mindset is when I look at their media day. When they go for their media day, then you can really, really understand what they're feeling, how they've trained, what's their mindset coming into the week. And I think that's the most important thing, is knowing what their mindset is. If he's determined, if he wants to come in and have multiple UFC performances, he's going to really need to put the effort into making weight and having those performances. So if that's the rhetoric he comes in with, I think he's going to do very well this week.
Yeah, definitely. It will be good as well, because I think, Ryan, what do you think? Do you think Mike Perry is more famous for the fact that he fights people in bars and he, jumps through windows and he does kind of crazy stuff like having his partner in his corner and kind of doing all these things that are not necessarily normal to do in the UFC? But do you think he's more famous for that, or do you think he's more famous because of his fighting style and the wins that he's had over the competitors that he's
Generally, I think with the general population, people like casuals who don't really follow it, I think he's more popular for the insane stuff he does. But amongst like people who watch it week in, week out, he is more popular for his fighting style, because whether you like the man or not, he comes to fight. He doesn't sit back. He never wants to just point fight. He wants to go in there and take your head off or get his head taken off. And to be honest, he strikes me as the kind of guy, he doesn't really care if he gets knocked out once he gets paid.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's admirable in some ways, but not really conducive to a long-lasting career. But I think it'll be an interesting fight overall, I do think, because I was actually just looking at the stats on my phone there, and Rodriguez actually has doubled the amount of significant strikes landed per minute. Well, nearly double. Mike Perry has like 4.3 and Rodriguez has like 7.2, something like that. But also Mike Perry has like a higher percentage of knockdowns, so it's a weird one. I do think it'll be a banger. I actually think this has a potential to be fight of the night. If I'm being honest, it does have that potential, and I'm this is probably the one fight where I'm looking at like, yeah, this could be cool. But what does upset me is that we're not going to get Darren Till and Mike Perry at the same card. Like,
what we were looking forward to.
Yeah, I can't
like,
wait.
it's not going to happen anymore.
The unholy alliance between Mike Perry and Darren Till.
The day they team up is the day world ends.
Mike Perry's like the Steve-O of the UFC, isn't he?
Darren Till would have cornered Mike Perry and then went and had his fight later.
Oh, 100% he would have. Oh, 100%. If Mike Perry's the Steve-O, then Darren Till's is the Johnny Knoxville.
Johnny Knoxville, yeah, exactly. And they're both having injuries like they are anyway, Mike Perry smashing his leg and getting cuts and stuff, and Darren Till / Johnny Knoxville is breaking his collarbone. I mean, it all makes sense.
Comes full circle.
That's a crazy one.
Yeah. George.
I can just see it like 10 years from now. Like, they're both 40 and they're in Bellator, and for some reason Mike Perry's just sick of cutting weight and they fight in Bellator in middleweight or something.
Even at 205. We could see him at 205. I don't know.
Yeah, probably with all the hamburgers he eats, like.
Yeah. George, what fight are you looking forward to? You said Gamrot versus Scott Holtzman, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention Gamrot because he came into the UFC back on Fight Island, and he lost his first fight via a very close split decision against Chimaev Kutaladze. And I think, though, that kind of he's under the radar, but this is a former two-weight champion in KSW, who I think has won 19 of his last 20 fights. Like, he's got very good pedigree coming in. Scott Holtzman though is no joke. I mean, his last fight I was looking earlier was Benel Dariush, who's obviously on an absolute streak at the moment. Yeah, he fought Benel Dariush last time out.
Okay, Jesus.
Yeah, that was my reaction when I saw it earlier.
I thought that was his last. Jesus.
Yeah. So, but
That
he's
completely slipped my mind.
He's also 4-2 in his last 6, which is not bad going either. So
that's a good record as well.
Yeah. So I was kind of looking at this thinking this is kind of like set up for Gamrot, get a win, start your UFC career on, happy days. Now I'm looking at him thinking this could be quite close, but I'm still going to go for Gamrot. I think he's one of the best European talents that's kind of flying under the radar a little bit. And this is a potential opportunity to kind of announce yourself on the UFC stage to the American kind of audience and say, I'm a bit of a player as well. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for Matthias Gamrot on Saturday night.
Absolutely. And then it's very strange how the UFC kind of position this card as well. We've kind of got smiling Sam Alvey, who I think he must be like 38 or 48, one of the two. He just seems like he's been in the UFC since the dawn of time. And
he was in tough 12, wasn't it? Tough 12 or 13?
Yeah. How old is he, Prath?
34.
He's 34.
He's only 34?
He's one of these people that I genuinely think he's been in the UFC. It's like Max Holloway. We all think he's been in the UFC for like 10 years. It's because he has, but he's only 29. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And he looks...
Max Holloway also only started in the UFC when he was like 20, to be fair.
George, are you related to Sam Alvey? Because you both look a lot older than you are.
Luckily that doesn't go on the radio tomorrow. So yeah.
Use your imagination, folks. Use your imagination.
Exactly. But Prath, how do you see this going? Sam Alvey versus Marquez, right?
Yeah, Julian Marquez. Julian Marquez is a product of the Dana White Contender Series. He had one of the more popular viewed knockouts on that division. And he's I remember he had a pretty lengthy absence from the octagon. If I look here correctly, yeah, he lost fought in 2018, and then he had a break until 2021 February, where he won over Marky Patolo, who is one of those guys that you regularly see in these UFC fights, fighting real good contenders. So it looks like he's back in a big way. It'd be very cool to see him get another win and kind of go up the ladder here. But he's fighting a tough veteran. Sam Alvey is one of those guys that just does not quit. And he's had a couple of really good knockouts. He's had a couple of really good submissions. He's a very well-rounded fighter, and he's kind of like he's the gate. I would say he's the gatekeeper of that division, in the sense that once you beat Sam Alvey, that's where you start getting those other real high-ranked contenders. So I'm expecting Julian Marquez to kind of parlay this victory and go forward here and maybe fight a top 15 middleweight. I think he's one of the... And do you know what the other thing as well? This just came across my mind as well as I was just looking. He does kind of look a little bit like you, Conor. I don't know if you've seen Julian Marquez, but he's got a kind of a Conor vibe to him. I don't know if that's just me.
He actually does as well.
Has he got?
We have a Sam Alvey lookalike.
Not saying that's a bad thing. Not saying that's a bad thing, Conor. Don't you worry.
George is Sam Alvey. Conor is Julian Marquez. I'm John Lennon. Who do you look like?
I'm going to be with them next week, so I can actually be like, "Are you ready? Are you ready?"
I was going to say, Conor, should we have a scrap? Should we have a scrap in your living room on Saturday night?
I'm up for it, man. I'm all there. We'll have a couple of cans.
We need a weigh in.
We'll make it a catch weight bout.
We need to get a win.
I'll need it.
Me and Pratt will commentate. We'll commentate.
But no,
Conor going in for the single leg now. Oh, he gets it.
I put Sam Alvey in this kind of Clay Guida, kind of Diego Sanchez, Donald Cerrone kind of era of being like a lot older than he actually is. I don't know why. That is. Because how many fights has he had?
To be fair, Diego Sanchez does look how old he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. His record is 33 wins, 14 losses, 1 draw, 1 no contest.
There you go.
He's
had that many fights. That's going to put the age on your face, isn't it? At the end of the day, that's really going to put the age on your face.
Sam
Still
Alvey is
has the
also
smiley
coming off
face.
of five. He's coming off of 4 losses and 1 draw as well. So this very much feels like a setup fight for Julian Marquez here. The Cuban Missile Crisis, I believe, is his nickname, which is one of the more
amazing.
one of the more lengthier ones, but we'll accept it. We'll accept it.
Yeah, I like it. It's better than
It's not my favorite though.
cheesecake.
My favorite is Andre Touchy Feely. That is the best one.
I've never been a big fan of these kind of silly names, and who gives them to them. What did we have at wasn't there one in Bellator that on Friday that really made me laugh? I cannot. Rat Garbage. Was it Rat Garbage? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Rat Garbage.
Rat King.
Yeah.
Rat Garbage. Rat King.
Rat Garbage.
Garbage.
Yeah.
It was Rat
Yeah.
Garbage.
Nickname. You think who does that? Who goes into a gym and they go, "Oh, he's all right. He's going to become pro."
No, that's kind of like a guy who joined the
my
army and he
God.
just decided to go with the nickname the drill sergeant gave him.
Probably. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Speaking of rap garbage, he had a really good win. Mandel Nallo.
Yeah.
Superman punch, knockout.
It was a very. Honestly, I watched it live. It was a very, very good fight. To be fair, very good fight.
I watched the highlight of it afterwards because I wanted to sleep.
Yeah, little Superman punch caught him right on the end. Caught him right on the end of the punch as well. Very, very good distance management as well. Very good distance management. But Ryan, what are you looking forward to on the UFC card coming up this weekend?
I'm looking forward to Kyle Dawkins versus the man whose name I cannot pronounce for the life of me.
Prath is going to give it a go, and yeah, go on, Prath, you've got this.
No, oh hell no! I was going to say he gave it a really good shot when
Earlier?
we were in our like
I'll give it a go now.
Conference.
I'll give it a go now. Kyle Dawkins versus Aliashkab Chizriev.
There you go.
Which I'm sure some Russians online will correct me.
It's honestly, it's fantastic to see people, especially when we have fighters like this, and you've got John Anik, Dominic Cruz, and DC or whatever commentating, and they're getting these names right every single time. Fair play to them. Fair play.
I think it's because I have a feeling it's because they go into the locker room before the card and go, "Here, look, me." What's your name?
I know exactly what it is. When they do their pre-fight discussion, so they sit on like a Zoom call with them, they have to say their name first.
Yes.
So when they say their name, then they can get their pronunciation.
Yeah, and then they get it. I think John writes it down phonetically as well, so it's easier to write, because he corrected someone on Twitter the other day and said it's Jan Blachowicz and stuff like that. There was a couple of fighters a couple of weekends ago that had some really difficult names, but he's very, very good at pronouncing them. It's only in the past couple of years that we've seen these pronunciation like specialists come in and kind of teach them how to say it. But back to you, Ryan, man. What are you looking forward to? Dawkins, yeah?
Yeah, Dawkins. I'm looking forward mainly to see more of Dawkins because, again, I'm not going to lie, I know nothing about Chizriev. And apparently the UFC website knows nothing about him either, because I'm looking at it right now. And record 1-0, country not listed, height 0 feet 0 inches, no pounds apparently, a 0-inch reach advantage and a 0-inch leg reach. So I don't know what the hell the website's saying. But Kyle Dawkins, he's pretty good. He's a tough guy. He's very strong. Record's 9-1. And obviously he's kind of been overshadowed by his heavier brother, Chris Dawkins, who is a monster. And they both fight very similarly. They both just like to stand, bang, and take your head off. So I'm looking forward just to see if Dawkins can do the same to this, or I could be pleasantly surprised and this new guy can just come in and destroy him. That's why I'm looking forward to this fight, because of the unknown factor. Don't know anything about Chizriev.
0 leg reach. You just don't know how far he's going to kick. You don't know what's coming out from behind the
ghost kick,
behind the from the back.
Surprise! He's actually one of those no-touch knockout artists. It actually works, apparently. Who knew? But I'm looking forward to this because of the unknown factor. We know about Dawkins. We know what he's going to do. He's going to go in there. He's going to try to take your head off. So I'm looking forward to see what the other guy can offer. Either he's a lamb to the slaughter, or we're going to be pleasantly surprised and we're going to see something new, someone new and someone exciting. So that's why I'm looking forward to that fight, to be honest.
Yeah, no, definitely. And a lot of these Russian fighters and Dagestani fighters in particular, we saw on Bellator on Friday, we had Nurmagomedov's cousin, I believe it was, that was fighting, and he went out there, put on a fantastic performance. And I believe there was another kind of Madoff on that fight card as well.
Yeah.
Magomedov.
Magomedov.
The only guy to beat Petayam.
Yeah, and I mean,
I love. Yeah.
Sorry. Hang on.
No,
I'll go back. Aljamain Sterling also won against him.
No, but I actually loved. No, I love on the Bellator broadcast. Right, they specifically said the only person to beat Petr Yan not by disqualification.
Yeah, I remember.
And Aljo was so triggered on Twitter. It was so funny. It was so funny.
Unbelievable. But George, there's another UK fighter on this card as well. We've got Jack Shaw, I believe it is, who's fighting. I know you're always big on the UK fighters. Tell me what you got on your notes there, bud.
Yeah, well, Jack Shaw, so undefeated in Cage Warriors, undefeated in the UFC, 2-weight champion in Cage Warriors. And yeah, definitely a guy who I think could find himself creeping up the rankings, find himself towards periphery top 15 over the next 12, 18 months. So yeah, no, he's definitely someone to keep an eye out on. He's got a bit of a submission kind of game going on. So definitely keep an eye out for that on Saturday. But yeah, any guys, look, we all know Cage Warriors produces talent, and Jack Shaw is just another guy in a long list of incredible fighters that have come out of Cage Warriors. And he's doing it in the UFC. You know, he's 2-0. He's got a fight this weekend, which I think he can go and win and move on to 3-0. And yeah, definitely keep an eye on Jack Shaw. I think he's a supremely talented guy. If you know, he's part of a very elite club to win 2 belts in Cage Warriors. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on him on Saturday night.
And yeah, it seems like you say the pedigree coming over from Cage Warriors. Obviously, we've got Paddy the Baddie coming over now as well. I know you're a big fan of this man, George, but he's been getting quite a lot of stick online as well. But why do you think that is? He's coming over into the UFC. He's been signed. He's very active on social media as well, which is always good. I love to see fighters.
Because he made a comment about Georgia and Russia, and didn't go over well.
He was getting grief long.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Was he really?
Yeah. It's because he talks. He's a big talker. He's a big talker.
Because of the haircut. Well, he does look like Jay from the In-Betweeners, to be fair. Like,
he really does.
Yeah.
I've got a Paddy haircut.
couple of years, George. You'll have it.
Yeah. I'll be in Cage Warriors before you know it.
But Jack Shaw's not the only English person fighting on this card, right? Prath, who else we got?
We got probably the best fight on the card, and I'm really grateful that you threw it to me because I love this fight. Super Sadiq Youssef versus Arnold Almighty Allen. Great nicknames as well, and not over the top, but just nice and simple, beautiful nicknames. But that's the only thing that is not the only thing that not only. Oh my god. I can't believe that just happened to me.
English, do you speak it?
Yeah, do I speak it? It's been a long day, guys.
I would do the full Pulp Fiction quote, but I can't curse.
They both have incredible records, is the point I was trying to make here. 11-1 for Super Sadiq Youssef. Arnold Allen is on like a 15-fight win streak as well. Both finishers. I think Arnold is a little bit more decision heavy. I think he likes to grind. I think he also likes to be able to be defensively kind of there, but maybe not as offensively there as possible. But I think that's led to a lot of his victories as well. He's very defensively sound, and he's had some great victories. You know, Arnold Allen's got wins over like Gilbert Melendez. He's got Nick Lentz, Jordan Rinaldi. These are all guys that are very credentialed fighters in the UFC. So I want to see Arnold Allen obviously do very well here, but he's fighting a absolute killer, Super Sadiq Youssef, in the featherweight division as well. He seems like a massive featherweight, cuts quite a lot of weight to get down there, and that's very evident by his TKO wins. You know, he's got a lot of TKO wins on his record, KO wins. He seems like a strong guy. I think this is going to be a very, very close match. And I don't know who's going to win. This is the one that's kind of a bit of a coin flip for me because Sadiq Youssef has great power, but Arnold Allen is great defensively. And I think Arnold Allen will be able to hold him in situations that maybe might be a bit uncomfortable for Sadiq Youssef. But I also think Sadiq Youssef has great takedown defense. So it's one of those ones where it's going to be very, very razor sharp. I think it's going to be a decision, but I'm not too sure where it goes. What do you guys think?
I'm
both
with you
coming off
completely
wins.
on this one. I can't decide who I think is going to win. Like, I'm a big fan of Arnold Allen and a big fan of Sadiq. So even then, I'm not sure. I'm going to say it now. I'm going to go with Sadiq. I think Sadiq wins it.
How does he win it? By decision, or you think he's getting the knockout?
I think you'll get either a late TKO or a split decision. I think if it goes to a decision, I think it'll be a split one.
Tough match. George?
Yeah.
I'll go differently. I think Arnold Allen's going to grind it out. That's what I think.
It's very possible. Like it's literally just 50-50 for me, to be honest. It's very possible that Arnold wins.
I think Arnold Allen, he's like the next Leon Edwards in a way. He does not talk trash. He's very quiet. He's very unassuming. It wouldn't be surprising if he was to continue to kind of work his way up and up and up. And he'll miss out on big fights because he doesn't do a lot. Well, don't be surprised one bit if Sadiq Youssef wins this weekend, that he gets on the mic. He says he wants this and he gets it because, the American crowd know who he is. They understand who he is. Arnold Allen kind of almost slips under the radar. He left his whole life behind in Ipswich. He went over to Montreal. He trains at TriStar. He's completely upped his life to try and become the best mixed martial artist he possibly can be. I've just, and like everyone has said, he seems to be a bit of a grinder and find a way to get the job done. And I just fancy him against a very, very good prospect like that Sadiq Youssef is, just to find a way of getting it done somehow.
So is he in Crush Corner then for you this week? We're gonna bring Crush Corner back.
Crush Corner.
Because we've missed it.
Corner. My Crush Corner. I'm gonna go off piece a little bit. I'm gonna go with Mike Perry as my Crush Corner. Whenever Mike Perry ready. He's just so funny, isn't he, Mike Perry? I actually think underneath all the stupid bravado of Mike Perry, that he actually has got a bit of talent. And if he actually channeled his talent, he actually would be all right. But he's just mental, and so for that reason, and
mental is putting it lightly.
Yeah, putting it lightly. But and like we've all said, it's potential fight of the night. It's Mike Perry. It's all the bravado with it, and so yeah, I'm gonna have to give Mike Perry Crush Corner for this week.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. I like it. And you mentioned Lee.
I feel bad. I feel bad for the one fight we haven't talked about is the women's strawweight.
Who's fighting?
It's Nina Ansarov and Mackenzie Dern.
Mackenzie Dern.
Oh, it's actually a really good fight.
We spoke about
it. It's like the one fight in the strawweight division where I'm like,
But
besides, obviously,
is coming off of having a baby, right? So this will be her first fight after having an actual baby. Obviously, everyone was talking about that.
As opposed to what kind of baby?
Because obviously she had a baby with Amanda Nunes, but everyone's talking about
I know.
I'm training properly.
I'm joking.
Yeah,
I'm joking with you, Conor.
Nina actually pushed the baby out, whereas obviously Nunes didn't. So it will be her first fight.
Nunes just stood aside giving moral support.
Yeah, she just held her hand. That's it. But how do you see that going then, Ryan? You brought it up. You can break it down.
I'm unsure. I think Mackenzie Dern will get a sub win, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Because
the fact that Nina is just after having a baby, we don't know how that's going to affect her really. If she could come out, keep her form going, be as good as she was before she left. But I think having the baby, it's a big factor, and we shouldn't overlook it. So I'm thinking she might gas out early because of that, because of the strain having a baby would have on your body.
Sure.
I have a feeling Nina will come out strong in the first maybe round and a half, but then she'll fall off, and I think Mackenzie will get like a late armbar or a late choke. So I'm going with Mackenzie Dern. Also, Mackenzie Dern is an animal, so I'm going with Mackenzie Dern for that one, I think.
Sure. Prath.
And just a point I'd like to make as well is Mackenzie Dern is also a mother, and she fought like 3 months after she had a kid. Wow. And has fought a few times after that. The fight that she came off of once she had a kid, she lost. It was Amanda Hebas. She lost that one by decision, and then has gone on to win the 3 since then. So I don't know what that speaks to and what you can expect from Nina Ranchov.
We have precedent, Pratt. We had precedent.
Precedent. This is it. That's it. She's going to lose the next one, then she's going to win the 3 after that.
Watch now. So, now we've mentioned this. Now Nina's going to come out and spark her out in the first round. Watch.
Who knows, man? That's the crazy and beautiful thing about mixed martial arts.
It is true.
I think it's difficult as well when you obviously, she's married to the greatest female athlete of all time, the female fighting athlete of all time. So it's like, you know, you'd almost want her to be sparring with Amanda Nunes every day and rolling with Amanda Nunes every day and being as good as she is, but then she kind of never really lives up to that bar. But they are definitely a power couple. You know, as far as power couples go, they are up there. Do you know what I mean? But I think it'd be a tough fight for both ladies. You know, the women's divisions are slowly but surely getting fuller and fuller of definitely up and coming talent.
The strawweight division, I think, is already there. It's the flyweight and the bantamweight, and I'm not even going to mention the featherweight division because that's not a division. It doesn't exist, right? That's just basically Amanda Nunes' placeholder. Like she defends that belt whenever she feels like, essentially.
Yeah.
I think the strawweight division is already there because we have people like Rose, we have Joanna, we have Carolina, we have Claudia Gadella, we have Weili Zhang, of course, the champion. But then you get like the flyweight and the bantamweight division. They're not quite there yet because look at the flyweight division. It's Valentina, and then there's everyone else.
Yeah, of course.
If we're being honest,
we always about that.
Yeah, I cannot see anyone in that division beating Valentina anytime soon.
Well, we'll see.
And the same with,
she's fighting in a couple of weeks, isn't she?
Oh, she's fighting Andrade, isn't she?
Andrade, yeah.
Okay, Andrade could be actually, but she's coming down. She's coming up. Sorry, she's coming. Is she going up or down? She's going up. Yeah, she's going up.
Yeah.
Which, and Andrade is always known for, you know, power because she's short, stocky Brazilian girl who'll just come out and kill you. She could be a challenge, but again, as I said, the rest of the division isn't there. Andrade is good enough, I think. Well, that's gonna be a good fight. But anyone else in that division, I can't really see much happening. Same with the bantamweight, because let's be honest, who the hell is beating Amanda Nunes? Like
no one.
Nobody.
Although we keep saying this, right? People were saying this before Anderson lost to Chris Weidman, so you know what? I'm not going to jinx it. She can be beat. She can be beat. Everyone, she can be beat.
And with the return of Misha Tate as well, we just don't know what's going to happen. You know?
Oh no! Come on, Amanda's going to smash a Misha Tate. Come on, let's be real here. Did you see Misha's face in the last time they fought?
But why does
Misha
Tate want to come out and fight Marion Renault, who's coming off of 4 losses? I think that just perplexes.
That just tells you.
It's a bounce back fight. It's a bounce back fight. It's a fight for her to have a W on her record.
But watch her lose that fight as well. Watch her lose.
If she loses, then yeah, I think that's really apropos, and it will kind of tell us where she is mentally and physically.
Yeah, definitely. But the UFC have announced some absolute bangers coming up over the next coming weeks and months. Prath, what are you most looking forward to, and what are you most not looking forward to? Obviously, we've got Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz, which is everyone's favorite fight.
Oh, can I please talk about this? Because I woke up, right? I woke up, looked at my phone on April 1st, and saw Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. I laughed. I was like, that's a good one, Dana. Good one. Then April 2nd, and I saw it was actually happening.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I don't know whether this is Dana disrespecting Leon or that Leon literally couldn't get anyone else. Maybe it's a mixture of both.
Leon wanted Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
Leon wanted it.
He wanted. Oh, Jesus Christ, Leon.
He wants to fight.
He wants the money fight, I suppose. Yeah, Pratt doing the money. I suppose he wants the money fight.
Vicente Luque wanted the fight as well with Nate Diaz. It's all about the money.
Yeah,
the thing
but
is, well,
because this is a lose-lose situation. He gains really not much from beating Nate Diaz.
I don't think. I think in
terms of the division, he doesn't really gain that much.
He doesn't in the division, but if within inside the UFC, he gains something, because I think having a win over Nate Diaz carries a bit of weight for with some people. They'll view that as and also Leon Edwards needs that kind of like, I've just beaten, like, whatever you want to call Nate Diaz, a legend or someone who's been in the game a long time. They want that, you know. That's what that's what Leon Edwards needs.
My fear with this is 9 times out of 10, Leon Edwards beats the crap out of him, right? 9 times out of 10.
He will be.
But I don't know why, but like there's this one time and I can just see it. It'll be like in the 5th round because they're making it a 5-round co-main event for some reason. Like he'll knock Nate down, he'll jump on Nate and he'll end up falling into his guard and he'll get caught in a triangle or guillotine or something, which is like has a 0.1% chance of happening. But there's a chance. Because people keep forgetting that Nate Diaz is incredible at jiu-jitsu. Not as good as Nick, I say, but he is good at jiu-jitsu. And I can just and then if Nate Diaz somehow beats Leon Edwards, we won't hear the fucking end of it.
We
won't hear the end of it.
Title shot then.
Oh
He'll be
yeah.
a title shot.
And to be
Definitely.
honest, he could make that argument. He could legitimately make the argument.
100%, because if Leon Edwards comes through against Nate Diaz, I reckon they'll be pretty damn close to booking him into that title fight.
Yeah, but if for some reason Nate Diaz beats Leon, he could easily just go give me Usman.
Of course.
But I don't want to see that.
I know, but that's the way it works. Number 3 guy, you can start calling for that, can't you? You can start saying that's the way.
Although
that's
I can also, if you want my prediction, I think the most likely thing to happen is Leon will hit him with a few elbows, cut open that scar tissue, and he'll just end by stoppage again. And then Nate will pull his usual crap of like, no, he didn't stop me. And then he'll just disappear for another 2.5 years.
Exactly.
Kind of like what Leon does, to be honest.
But there's lots of other fights to look forward to where it's actually a little bit more competitive.
Yeah.
Prath, what are you looking forward to?
Oh, yes. God, what fight am I looking forward to the most? That's a very tough one, man. I really like Dustin Conor 3. I think Dustin goes out there and gets the job done and secures that trilogy. And
I have to disagree.
I mean, I assume that, but Dustin Poirier,
I'm not even a big fan of Conor, but I disagree.
My guy, Dustin Poirier just came out and sparked my man out in 2 rounds and threw a couple of leg kicks at him. And you're going to sit here and tell me that Conor's going to win? In which planet,
you're going to sit here and tell me that.
In which planet?
You're going to sit here and tell me that Conor's not going to come out and I forgot about he's not going to check a leg kick. He's not going to make that adjustment. Are you really going to say that?
Yeah, but why?
It is a 50-50
fight. Not check leg kicks in the first fight.
Yeah, he was. I'm not saying like it's a given that Conor's going to win. I think it's a 50-50. I'm leaning towards Conor mainly because Conor. Like he always finds some way to either stay relevant or win a fight. And
that's great, but Dustin Poirier is winning this. I don't care about that. I appreciate it, but Dustin Poirier is sparking him out.
If Dustin wins,
again.
I'm happy either way. If Dustin wins, I'm happy either way.
I just hope it's more competitive. That's the only thing. I hope it's a little more competitive in the first fight, because the first fight was very one-sided. The second fight was very one-sided.
The first round of the first fight was close. The first round of the second fight was close, I think.
And then Dustin came out and put it on him. And I feel like in the second round, Dustin just put on the pressure a little bit more. He was a bit more reserved in the first round. He was still hanging in the pocket with him in most of those occasions. And then the second round, he put the foot on the gas and was able to overwhelm him against the cage. And he wasn't able to just recover from the shots that he was taking. And I think Dustin has learned from those very tough fights against Justin Gaethje and Dan Hooker, where he was getting beaten up, but still hung in there and then was able to unload power shots. And Conor just couldn't take it. Conor couldn't take those shots. He couldn't recover in time. And Dustin's really is a finisher. So once he knows that he is hurt, he's going to go for the finish. And that's
the implication there being that Conor isn't.
Sorry, say again.
Like the implication there is that Conor isn't a finisher.
I didn't say Conor isn't a finisher. I said
no. It was the implication. Yeah, but it was the implication. You implied he wasn't.
I didn't say that at all. I said that Dustin Poirier is a finisher, and I said that Dustin Poirier was able to essentially just overwhelm him with strikes. I didn't say that Conor.
No, I agree. I agree completely.
I think Conor is a finisher as well.
I know. I completely agree with your analysis of the second fight, but to me, it's 50-50, and I'll always have that bias because I'm Irish, right? I will put my hands up and admit it. I'll put my hands up and admit it. I'm not going to be one of. But I'm also not one of these absolute idiots who thinks Conor is God's gift to fighting, because he isn't.
And just one little point I wanted to make about the. Sorry, one
I
little point
don't-
I
I
wanted to
also
kind
don't-
of make
yeah,
about
go
the Leon fight from before that you guys were saying is that it's not a fight that is going to give Leon anything, and I got to disagree a little bit in the sense that it's the exposure more so than anything. I think whenever Nate Diaz fights, Nate Diaz exposure that he gives them, whether it's on a Fox card, there's old Fox cards that were there where he was the main event, he was the one that was bringing in the views. Whenever he fought Anthony Pettis, that was the most talked about fight on that card. When he fought Masvidal for the BMF title, he created a belt. He lost, he didn't get the belt, but he created that belt for them to fight for. So I think the exposure, and that's exactly why Vicente Luque fights him, right? So Vicente Luque is not going to get a pay bump if he fights a Nate Diaz, but the amount of people that will see Vicente Luque fight Nate Diaz, I think that's what these guys are actually kind of gunning for. They're not stupid. They know they're not going to get a pay bump unless they're on a pay-per-view card where they're in a main event spot or something like that. That's really where they're going to get the money. But if they're fighting them on a regular UFC card, a fight night, or a co-main event spot, they're going to get the same money, but the exposure is going to be tenfold.
Yeah, my lose thing was more so just in terms of the division. It doesn't give him anything much in terms of the division. Yeah, no, you're right with the exposure. The exposure, like Nate, whether we like him or not, Nate Diaz is to not quote Dana White, he is a needle mover.
Very much so.
But yeah, but no, my disagreement with the Dustin Conor thing is I think it's a lot close. I think the third fight is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think. And trust me, a small part of me doesn't want Conor to win for the simple fact that I don't want to have to listen to I don't want to listen to his fanboys go on and on about how he's God's gift to the world. Like, trust me, I don't want that to happen either.
Very true. Very true. It's unfortunate, but if anything, I hope the third fight is a little bit closer. Like I said before, I hope that Conor comes out and it's a bit more of a 50-50 fight with them both putting the work in. I felt like, exactly like Prath said, Dustin came out in the first round, felt him out, knew what the weakness was, which was going to be the leg kicks and slowing down Conor's mobility, and then putting the hands on him. Dustin's got great hands. Not to say that Conor hasn't.
I was very surprised that Conor didn't kick as much.
Yeah, he didn't kick at all.
That's what's like I was stunned. I was like, because that's kind of what got him the first fight is feints, his movement, his kicks, and it's what's helped him throughout his entire run as a fighter. And when I saw him come out in the first fight, get the legs kicked off him, and he didn't kick back, I was very confused to see that.
Because that was his game plan when he fought Nate Diaz the second time. Because Nate Diaz has notoriously got a fantastic cardio base as well, being a triathlete and stuff. He's got fantastic cardio, so kick his legs out exactly like he did in the second fight. And then even Nate was kind of pointing down and saying, why are you kicking my legs? Because you don't want to stand and bang with me. But he wanted to kick him to get the fight won in the later rounds. But it's really tough. I think it's really tough, and I think the bookies have even got Dustin being an underdog for this again.
Yeah, which I think is that's. I'm sorry, as biased as I am, kind of the Conor. That's bullcrap. I'm sorry. Dustin should be the favorite in that. I think if you're having a trilogy fight, the person who won the last fight should always be the favorite.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's ridiculous. Although I'm very excited for Chandler versus Oliveira. Oh, I can't wait. Because I feel, looking at the Twitter timeline, I seem to be the only guy who wants my boy Chucky Olives to win.
Yeah, he's good, man.
And there's two reasons. There's two reasons I want him to win. One, I love Charles Oliveira, and two, if Michael Chandler wins, I don't want to have to listen to Patricio Pitbull go on about how he's the best lightweight on the planet. You're the champion of Bellator. Come to the UFC, then you can make the argument. And also, winning the belt after two fights to me is it makes me sad.
But Dustin obviously wanted the red panty night by fighting Conor, which is absolutely perfect.
It's fair.
He can expand his source business, and then he'll be fighting for the belt one after this. Even if win, lose or draw, I think after this, Dustin fights for the belt because he deserves it.
I don't know if he loses the Conor, it's going to go to Conor. I think we both know that now.
In fairness, it should go to Dustin.
It will.
No. If he loses to Conor, it's not in fairness. No, if he loses to Conor, he lost the place.
And he should have taken the fight with the belt straight away. And there's some absolutely fantastic fights coming up, and we will be discussing them on the show over the next coming weeks and months. But for now, we will say goodbye. Thank you, as always, to the fantastic co-hosts of the show, the eloquent analyst down the bottom there, and George in Casual Corner. Ryan, thank you very much for joining us today and
No problem.
arguing with absolutely everyone's opinion on absolutely everything.
It's what I do. I
It
make
always-
jokes
it
and I
always
argue.
It adds a nice little twist to the show as well, you know. You
Yeah.
can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Music, Google Podcasts, all of those amazing things. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell everyone you know. And we will see you next time. Thank you very much.